Welcome to latest News Blaster. Kelly Clarkson has always been known for her honesty, charm, and ability to connect with people on a personal level. But no one expected her to be the one to shed new light on Blake Shelton's complicated past with Miranda Lambert, a past that still lingers in the country music world years after their very public divorce. In a candid and emotional revelation, Kelly spoke out about the struggles, heartbreak, and secrets behind the Blake-Miranda relationship, pointing out that not everything the public saw was the reality behind closed doors. According to Kelly, Blake and Miranda's marriage was built on deep love and mutual passion for music, but it was also marked by tension, insecurities, and the pressures of fame that no ordinary couple could withstand. She explained that Miranda, a powerhouse in her own right, often struggled with Blake's rising stardom and the constant spotlight on their relationship, while Blake was torn between his loyalty to his marriage and the demands of his booming career. Kelly, who witnessed many of these moments during her time on The Voice and her close friendship with Blake, revealed that the cracks in their marriage were visible long before the tabloids caught wind of it. And she remembers how Blake often tried to hide his pain with humor and music, something that only a close friend could recognize. Kelly's words also touched on Gwen Stefani's emotional journey, as Gwen entered Blake's life after his divorce, bringing healing but also facing the shadow of his past with Miranda, a chapter that still weighs heavily on both their hearts. Kelly described Gwen as incredibly strong, but admitted that the truth about Blake's lingering emotions for Miranda was not easy for Gwen to process, leading to moments of doubt and tears, something Gwen herself has admitted in past interviews. For fans, hearing Kelly Clarkson speak so openly about such a sensitive subject feels like peeling back the curtain on one of country music's most talked about love triangles, reminding the world that behind the glamorous image of stardom, real people face heartbreak, betrayal, healing, and growth. Kelly's revelations paint Blake as a man who has loved deeply, lost painfully, and struggled to move forward, while Miranda remains an unforgettable chapter of his life that cannot be erased, no matter how happy he appears today. As fans digest Kelly's bold confessions, one thing is clear. Blake Shelton's past with Miranda Lambert is far more complex, emotional, and untold than anyone could have imagined, and Gwen Stefani's ability to face that truth while still building a life with him is a testament to the power of resilience, forgiveness, and love. Kelly Clarkson's revelations about Blake Shelton and Miranda Lambert's past did not just stir headlines. They opened the door to a deeper conversation about what really happened between two of country music's biggest stars, and why their relationship was destined for both magic and heartbreak. To understand Blake and Miranda's story, we must go back to the very beginning, when Blake was still married to his first wife, Kaynette Williams, and met Miranda Lambert while performing together. From the moment they shared a stage, the chemistry was undeniable, and many who saw them at that time said the spark between them could not be ignored. Blake himself later admitted in interviews that he knew he was falling for Miranda even though he was already married, and that emotional conflict planted the seeds for a future that would both captivate and shock fans. Kelly Clarkson, who has worked closely with Blake for years, explained that those early days were filled with passion but also guilt, and Blake carried the weight of those choices for a long time. Miranda, young and ambitious, entered into a relationship that was built on music and fiery attraction, but Kelly revealed that it also carried the baggage of a complicated start, something that haunted them throughout their marriage. As their love grew, so did their fame, and soon Blake and Miranda became the power couple of country music, celebrated on red carpets, award shows, and in the hearts of millions who believed they were the perfect match. Yet Kelly made it clear that behind that glossy image, there were battles. Miranda struggled with Blake's flirtatious nature and constant touring schedule, while Blake sometimes felt overshadowed by Miranda's fiery independence and sharp personality. According to Kelly, arguments between the two often spilled out in private settings, and their friends knew that what the media portrayed was far from the truth. Rumors of cheating plagued their relationship, and although neither publicly confirmed the details, Kelly hinted that both Blake and Miranda carried regrets and suspicions that eventually poisoned their trust. She recalled times when Blake would confide in her about the difficulty of balancing love with fame, telling her that no matter how much they tried, they could not live a normal life, and that the pressure of always being watched created cracks that grew wider each year. Kelly's perspective also touched on the emotional toll the divorce took on both of them. Blake, who masked his pain with humor and new projects, and Miranda, who channeled her heartbreak into some of the most powerful music of her career. Kelly revealed that Miranda was deeply hurt by how quickly Blake moved on with Gwen Stefani, as though their years together had been forgotten overnight, but she also acknowledged that Blake had been lonely and broken, and Gwen brought him comfort at a time when he needed it most. Fans often saw Blake and Gwen's love story as a fairy tale, but Kelly insisted that Gwen had to confront Blake's past with Miranda in ways that were incredibly difficult, including moments when old memories, songs, or even tabloid stories would reopen wounds. Gwen's tears, Kelly explained, were not just about jealousy, but about realizing that to truly love Blake, she had to accept his history with Miranda, a history that was complicated, messy, and unforgettable. Kelly went further to share that Blake never stopped respecting Miranda as an artist, often praising her talent even when their personal relationship was over, and that this respect sometimes created tension with Gwen, who wanted to feel like the only woman in his life. The triangle of Blake, Miranda, and Gwen has fascinated fans for years, but Kelly's words added a new layer, reminding us that these were not just celebrities in a gossip story, but real people with real emotions, navigating love and heartbreak under the harshest of spotlights. She explained how the country music industry itself played a role in their breakup, as schedules, tours, and constant media speculation left little room for healing or privacy. Blake and Miranda's divorce, Kelly said, was not the result of one explosive event, but rather the slow unraveling of two people who loved each other deeply but could not survive the weight of fame, mistrust, and emotional scars. What makes Kelly's perspective so powerful is that she lived alongside them, watching Blake joke his way through pain on The Voice, seeing Miranda pour her feelings into music, and later, witnessing Gwen struggle to build a new chapter with a man whose past could not be erased. She described Gwen as brave, someone who chose to stand beside Blake even when it meant facing the ghost of Miranda, and said that Gwen's tears were not weakness, but proof of how much she truly loved him. The more Kelly spoke, the more fans began to realize that Blake's story was not one of a villain or a hero, but of a man torn between love, fame, and mistakes. And Miranda's story was not just about heartbreak, but about survival and transformation. Kelly also hinted that Miranda's silence after the divorce was her way of protecting herself, choosing to let her songs speak for her instead of tabloids. And that decision ultimately won her more respect from fans who admired her strength. Blake, on the other hand, leaned on Gwen, and their love story became one of healing, showing that even after devastation, new love is possible. Kelly admitted that she admired all three, Blake, Miranda, and Gwen, for their resilience, because despite the rumors, scandals, and painful truths, they all continued to create music, inspire fans, and move forward. For Kelly, revealing these truths was not about gossip, but about showing fans that the celebrities they admire are human, carrying the same pain, regrets, and hopes as anyone else. In the end, Blake Shelton's past with Miranda Lambert, as revealed by Kelly Clarkson, is a story of passion, betrayal, forgiveness, and growth, one that continues to shape his present with Gwen Stefani, and one that fans will never stop talking about. And perhaps that is the real untold truth. Love may end, hearts may break, but the memories and lessons remain forever, shaping who we become in ways no one can ever erase. What makes Kelly Clarkson's revelation even more shocking is how it forces fans to reconsider the timeline of Blake Shelton's love life, the choices that defined his image, and the hidden emotions that shaped not only his music but his relationships. Kelly explained that one of the untold truths about Blake and Miranda was how deeply their passion fueled both their careers, but also destroyed their ability to trust one another. As the more famous they became, the more the spotlight magnified every flaw. She recalled times when Miranda confided in friends that she felt Blake's success on The Voice was pulling him further away from their country roots, while she was still fighting to prove herself as an authentic storyteller in Nashville. Kelly described this as a turning point, because the more Blake thrived in Hollywood's glitzy environment, the more Miranda felt left behind, and this created a wedge that neither could repair. Kelly also revealed that behind the smiles and interviews, Miranda was often in tears, and Blake, who put on his trademark, humor, was quietly battling loneliness even in the middle of fame. Their marriage became a balancing act between two powerhouse careers and two very different personalities. Blake, the charming, laid-back jokester who often wanted peace, and Miranda, the fiery, outspoken artist who craved honesty and rawness. Kelly said that when those worlds collided, the fights were explosive, and though they tried to hide it, those close to them, including herself, could feel the tension. She explained how cheating rumors swirled constantly, sometimes blaming Blake, sometimes Miranda, and although no one ever confirmed them, the damage they did was real. Miranda, according to Kelly, once admitted that it was nearly impossible to feel secure in a relationship when tabloids painted her as the jealous wife and Blake as the flirt, creating a narrative that fans believed, even when it wasn't always true. Kelly admitted that watching their marriage crumble was heartbreaking because she could see how much they still cared, but they were too wounded to make it work. Then came the divorce announcement in 2015, shocking fans who had thought they were country music's forever couple. Kelly said Blake handled the split by diving into work and leaning heavily on a sense of humor, but privately he was crushed, often sitting in quiet reflection after The Voice tapings, a side of him few people ever saw. Miranda, on the other hand, threw herself into songwriting, releasing tracks that revealed her broken heart, proving that music became her therapy when the love of her life walked away. Kelly's words shed light on how Gwen Stefani entered the picture soon after, offering Blake something he desperately needed: understanding, companionship, and the comfort of someone who had also been through a painful divorce. Gwen's arrival brought Blake back to life, but Kelly admitted that the transition was not easy, because Gwen had to face the shadow of Miranda at every step. She explained that Gwen often questioned whether she could ever compete with the history Blake shared with Miranda, and Kelly recalled moments where Gwen's insecurities surfaced, sometimes even on set, where small gestures or comments about Miranda would trigger emotions. Kelly described Gwen's tears as genuine, the cries of a woman who loved Blake but knew she would always live, with the memory of the woman who came before her. For fans, this added an emotional depth to Gwen and Blake's fairy tale romance. They were not just two stars who found love, but two broken people who had to build trust on the ruins of past heartbreak. Kelly's truth-telling highlighted how resilient Gwen had to be, facing whispers from fans, critics, and even friends who wondered if Blake had truly let go of Miranda. At the same time, Miranda moved on with her own life, eventually marrying Brendan MC Loughlin, but Kelly said the ghost of her relationship with Blake remains, not because she still loves him, but because their story was so public, so passionate, and so unforgettable that it will always follow them both. Kelly also revealed that Blake sometimes still speaks of Miranda with respect, calling her one of the greatest songwriters he has ever known. And although Gwen tries to understand, it is difficult to hear your partner praise an ex so deeply. This, Kelly said, is one of the emotional struggles Gwen has faced in private, one that fans rarely consider. What makes Kelly's perspective unique is that she is not just a singer or a co-star, she is a friend who saw the smiles, the tears, the fights, and the moments of silence no camera ever captured. She explained how Blake leaned on his closest circle during those years, and how Miranda found strength in pouring her soul into ballads that fans still connect with today. Kelly's words remind us that celebrity relationships may be glamorous on the outside, but they carry the same pain, doubts, and scars as any ordinary love story. By exposing the untold truth, Kelly gave fans a glimpse into the reality that Blake Shelton's past with Miranda Lambert is not something that can be erased or rewritten. It is part of his journey, shaping the man he has become, the partner he is to Gwen, and the artist fans continue to adore. As Gwen continues to stand by him and Miranda continues to thrive in her own career, Kelly's revelations prove that the story of Blake and Miranda is not just a closed chapter, but a legacy that still echoes in every song, every performance, and every tear shed along the way, making it one of the most unforgettable love stories in country music history. This moment will be remembered for years to come. If you were moved, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this report with your friends. More exclusive stories and emotional updates are on the way, so stay tuned.